Guys, it's episode 10, double digits of the Flixwatcher podcast. I'm Kobe.
And I'm Helen. Today we are joined by Kathy and Dave from the Cinemile podcast, the awesome married couple film review podcast on the move show. So we recommend you check that out. And today we are going to be looking at the Netflix original ARQ.
Guys, if you want to get in touch, join us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. Come and visit us on our website, flixwatcher.tv, and go to iTunes. Subscribe to us, review, and share with your friends, because sharing is caring. So guys, just as a big reminder, all films on the podcast were available on Netflix at the time of recording. There will be bad language, there will be spoilers. I hope you enjoy it. See you later.
Welcome to this particular episode of Flixwatcher. This time we are joined by Kathy and Dave from the Cinemile. So hi guys, how are we?
Hello, thanks for having us.
Excellent. And do you want to tell us a little bit about the podcast that you do?
Yes, so we make a podcast. We do it quite frequently and based entirely around when we happen to be going to the cinema, where we, as a married couple, which is always written in our synopsis, which is a bit weird. So we're a married couple, we go to the cinema and we walk to and from the movies with our little recorder and just record what we think before and after the films. And we have quite similar film tastes, but always end up bickering somehow
So
about
there's a lot
nitpicky
of traffic noises,
annoying points. Yeah, so that's
by.
us at thecinema.com.
Awesome. Sounds great. And we're here today. We are going to be discussing the Netflix original film ARQ, which I believe is Dave's choice. So Dave.
ARQ.
ARQ?
Just in case you're looking for it, guys.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
not spelt with a K,
Yep.
and it's not about Noah, and it's not a biblical movie. Yeah, so I chose this. I literally didn't know anything about this. So we were just scrolling through Netflix and I think they must have pushed this up front and center.
Yeah,
you know, they tend to
definitely,
do
yeah.
that with their own properties. So I was like, oh, what's this? And I was probably most intrigued by the fact that it was from the writer of Orphan Black, which is a show that we really, really love.
On
and
Netflix,
I would
yeah.
recommend seeing. Yeah, I think it is on Netflix, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it was it's a sci-fi movie, so I'm a real big sci-fi nut, and it had time travel in it, and I love time travel movies even more. So I was kind of hooked there, hook, line, and sinker. So what it's about is it's set in a dystopian future. Surprise, surprise! Like almost all sci-fi movies. You never see any utopian future.
No.
The future is always dark and
Shit
depressing.
has gone wrong.
Yeah, so wrong. So in this future, I think they don't really go into a lot of detail, but basically energy and resources have all dried up. The air is toxic. Life is shit, as you said. So we open on a character called Renton, who is sort of a brilliant scientist / underwear model who wakes up next to another underwear model, Hannah, and they instantly get sort of their house is invaded by 3 armed men,
Yeah.
who
Armed and masked men.
armed and masked men who tie them up, and then he dies instantly. This is I'm not spoiling anything. It's the first 5 minutes, and then he wakes up again, and the same thing happens. So we're in familiar territory here. It's like Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow.
Source code.
Time loop. Source code. Yes,
Yeah.
that was a good one. Where it's time is repeating on itself, and our character is initially the only one who is aware of it.
So what did you guys make of this? I'm going to go to Helen first here, because I don't think she was happy about this at all.
Sorry, Helen.
It's kind of interesting because you sort of mentioned before we started recording that you hadn't seen this. So that made me feel a little bit better, because I thought that this was a cruel joke played on me to punish me in some way, shape or form. Yeah.
So you loved it?
Why do you not like time travel movies? Or?
I love time. Source Code, I think, is beautiful. Groundhog Day is great, fantastic, and I really, really enjoyed The Edge of Tomorrow, which I recently watched probably about a week or two ago. I lasted 1 minute and 25 seconds into the film before I kind of reached for the phone and went, what am I watching? And so I ended up reading an article which compared Source Code and Edge of Tomorrow, and read that, and then realised that I had to obviously go back to the film. The only good thing about it is only an hour and a half, I would say.
Yeah.
Is that
Massive bonus.
Mercifully short.
So what happened in that first minute and a half? Because
I just
didn't take to it.
it's obviously a made-for-TV film because the set is... Probably the reason they keep repeating the same scenes is because they've only got so much money to spend on the set. So they've only basically got 3 rooms which they can use. The acting in it is pretty awful. I refer to him as a discount Christian Bale. Things like, I don't know, it just really annoyed me that they didn't have any shoes.
That annoyed me too. Really? Like, why aren't their
I
feet
didn't even
getting
notice
cold?
that.
If you're in bed and 3 guys just come in and smash you in the face.
Yeah, I don't like seeing people's feet on movies.
You'd be like, hang on, just let me get my socks on.
Yeah, I don't know. That just really annoyed me. And I didn't really get, like you said, there's not really much... You don't really get much of a backstory, and you don't really gain that much. You can kind of understand that it's in the future and there's no food and there's something, but then there's not really a connection as to how the ARQ's going to solve the food problem. And I had no connection to the characters. I was not really kind of engaged with them. And there's a bit where she talks about they kept playing the Christmas song over and over again.
Terrible.
It's just like,
What was a Christmas? Did I miss this?
Yeah,
She's tortured with Christmas music.
oh, I thought it could be Slade's It's Christmas or Rocking Around the Christmas Tree.
That is torture, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was just, why is she tortured? There's all these kind of ideas that could have been great and could have been interesting, but it didn't really work. And then there was some kind of really, really gory bits in it, which didn't really sit. So it's like, oh, you've kind of spent all your budget on this really good kind of gory special effects, which could have been elsewhere. And I just thought I could be watching Source Code.
What did you guys think?
Well, I thought it was okay. I had no expectations going in. I think I agree with you, Helen. Straight away, it sort of showed its colors in terms of, you could tell it's quite a low budget movie. But I think they made good use of whatever budget they did have. I thought there wasn't a whole lot of inventiveness there in terms of how it looked, but it was certainly effective. I thought the actors were okay. When it first started, I was like, this guy is terrible. I just could not buy into him. I thought he was terrible. But then he did sort of slowly win me over. I never bought him as a brilliant engineer because that was ridiculous.
That was the point that was made while we were watching it. It's like, this is not an engineer.
Yeah.
It's like, he's so well groomed. And it's like
You can be a well-groomed scientist.
You can be a well-groomed scientist, but not in a dystopian future where there's no food and you're barefoot and you just look like this insane, beautiful person. I don't know.
Underwear model.
Yeah. But I will say he actually sort of slowly won me over. I don't know, was it Stockholm Syndrome or something? But I did kind of warm to his performance as it went on. I thought he was an okay action hero. Look, this movie, it's not great. It doesn't quite pull off the myriad of ideas that it throws at the screen. But I admire, look, I am a sucker for sci-fi movies anyway, and I will stick with something that has at least brings something new to the genre.
Yeah.
And this had a few interesting ideas, which I liked. I liked the fact that some of the other characters started to become aware of the time loops. I thought that was an interesting
I thought that was a really
twist
cool part
on
of it.
Yeah, I like that.
That was unexpected.
And they brought those moments in just at the right time, because it was kind of, just as I was getting kind of bored and lulling off, something new and interesting would happen. So it's not consistently entertaining, this movie. There were certainly times that the two of us were like, oh, it's just like, I just want this to end. And it was a long 90 minutes. It was a bit of a slog. But then every now and then it would peak a little bit and I go, oh, that's interesting. And they do something slightly different. So look, I thought it was okay. It doesn't quite hold together. The end is a complete mess. I didn't really understand what was happening. And I think that they totally dropped the ball. But look, I got to admire what they did on a small budget.
Yeah.
It had some inventiveness there. And yeah.
What about yourself then, Kathy?
I'm like both of you already I love Edge of Tomorrow. I've only seen it once, but it was probably one of my favourite cinema experiences I've ever had, actually. I just remember being in the movies being like, this is why I love going to the cinema. This is so fun. And I love Groundhog Day. And we actually went to the Groundhog Day musical a few weeks ago. It's so good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Really?
Absolutely
Okay.
amazing.
It's so good.
Okay.
So we were like primed for this. And we love Orphan Black, right? And love sci-fi, love time travel. And then it's so funny what you're saying, because I was taking notes as we watch it, and the first line I have is, already a bad actor, he's a poor man's Arrow. So basically the same thing you were saying, but with Christian Bale. And also a bit of a Tom Cruise lookalike, and I was wondering if that was because of Edge of Tomorrow. Anyway, Like, again, I admire people making something with a low budget. We don't know what the budget was. And I think they made good use of the sets, but I don't think a low budget excuses a bad script. And the script wasn't particularly good, though I really admire the ideas. So I'm like gunning for it and I want it to be good. But I guess a couple of notes I had were I liked the 80s synth music. I thought the music was quite fun. I thought there was good world building and that I felt I quickly understood the world, albeit without proper... there wasn't much exposition. Yeah. And I kind of like the little notes around things like, oh, there's no apples anymore. I thought the baddie was ridiculous. And I was like, how many times can the baddie trick them? They kept getting tricked by the same baddie. The torture scene with the Christmas music was just laughably bad. The baddie singing was ridiculous is the main thing I've written. I've written that there was a good face washing scene, but I don't remember what that was.
That's towards the end.
Because that's like a lance. Well, I don't know what it's called in woodwork.
Oh, he put it against the ARQ.
Yeah, put it against the ARQ. So kind of,
that's gross.
Yeah,
that was good. And I basically, my main notes are like, who cares? Which is a shame, yeah. Oh, and I've written twist. The girlfriend's in on it. This is a spoiler podcast.
This is really.
That was like, I was like, I wasn't expecting her to be on it. That was a genuine twist for me. But again, one of my notes dragging now. That was in the middle. I definitely got to the point where I was like, if we weren't doing it for this podcast, I would have turned it off.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really, already a low engagement score.
Yeah, really low. And it's such a shame because I was so primed for it. And maybe that was partially the problem. I was slightly over optimistic going into it. But I mean, you should be expecting good things. And I know it's not fair, and this is a really mean thing to say, but he felt so kind of Z-list. And then because we lived in Australia for a long time, she's like one of these Aussie actresses who's consistently in things that are consistently cancelled. So she's never bad, but like you would know a lot of shows she's been in. Like she was in the Charlie Angel thing that was canned. I think she might have been in that. There was a show where John Locke from Lost was the devil and she lived in the apartment building.
Oh, yeah.
She's in all these kind of things.
Park Avenue 666.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw her, I went, "Oh no, this is going to be terrible."
She was in Jessica Jones, which was very, very.
She's in Jessica Jones. Yeah, she's her sister or her friend.
Cool. That hasn't been cancelled yet.
That hasn't been cancelled yet. So she hasn't given that the kiss of death. And I know that's mean because I actually don't think she's a particularly bad actress. I knew as soon as she came on screen that it wasn't going to be good. And it's funny because we've got pictures of it up on the screen here to remind us of it. And I think I only watched it 2 weeks ago, and I have to say I can't remember it.
I can't remember
the movie.
I think I'm the most lenient of the people around this table talking about it. But I can't remember the Christmas song. I don't know.
Basically, she's regressing about her time she was tortured, and she sort of says with all earnesty, and then he just kept playing the one Christmas song. What is the Christmas song?
Yeah, what's the Christmas song?
But, okay.
Isn't it Silent Night? No, what is it?
I can't remember.
Don't remember.
But he started singing it. So later on, of course, one of the guys in the scene of 5 people turned out to be her torturer. And I was like, that's ludicrous. That would never happen of all the people in the world, that your torturer has been hanging out with you and you've not known.
No, he was one of the home invaders.
Yeah, but she was in on it with him.
Oh, yeah.
So she's her accomplice.
The movie's falling apart even now.
So that's the thing. I can't remember that bit of the whole story.
You
just kind of went straight over my head.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You were probably zoned out. That's why.
Yeah, I think that's probably right. I really kind of appreciated the idea, and as we said before, Groundhog Day, Edge of Tomorrow, Source Code, fantastic looping time. Time.
The concept's great.
Yeah, the concept's great.
They are better movies.
They are better movies, and I did like the way that other people get to be involved in the time loop and remember stuff.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was a really cool twist. And she remembers stuff. And then you find that she's part of it. She's actually part of the bad guys. She is a bad guy. But then she becomes like a good guy. I don't know why he's helping her out.
I didn't get it.
Yeah, there's so many things about it that if you start to think about it, then it just gets even worse.
Because once he realises that she's a baddie, then don't untie her. And then go and sort yourself out.
I think it's because, didn't he have a lot of regrets because he left her behind and then she got taken by Taurus and tortured.
Oh, good memory. I don't
good
remember
Lord.
the name of the bad corporation. You remember it?
I've got it written in front of me.
Oh, right.
So there's a few names. There's Taurus and there's Focus? What was the other one called?
Oh, God, I don't remember.
Names of
Yeah.
Ford.
So generic.
The rebellion. The Mondeo group.
I also found it really distracting that he was called Renton because the only other character that I can think of is
yeah.
Trainspotting.
Yeah.
So I was just like going, Renton? No, what? And then it kind of drew me back, oh yeah, it's still on.
Yeah.
Still going.
And you're like, yeah, I want to watch Trainspotting.
And then I started to think, would this be a better film if Ewan McGregor was in it?
I think
No, I don't think so. Not these days, the way people is going.
But I don't know.
You liked it?
I didn't like it. Well, I think I was just the least down on it out of you guys. But there's some people in Helen and I's quiz team who are on the WhatsApp, and some of the guys really liked it.
It was described as a taut thriller.
Yeah.
Taut.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
I thought he was
thrilling or
trolling
taut.
me to
It
begin
didn't feel
with.
very taut.
Yeah. And then I think it was described as a brilliant home invasion film,
Well, I was thinking.
which I didn't really get that at all, because I guess for that to really be a home invasion is that they have to kind of be safe in their surroundings, which they don't really seem to be in to begin with. So I didn't really get the home invasion thing
I mean,
as a genre.
Have you seen the first Purge film?
yeah, I was
Yes.
just
Yeah.
thinking of
Yeah.
it. That's a great home invasion.
I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. And that feels
But that's-
claustrophobic, and
yeah.
that feels like a
But
proper
that's the setup,
invasion.
though.
Yeah.
Whereas this setup for me, it was just it's time travel. It's a science fiction time travel film.
What were
It's a
the
setup?
I can't remember what the reasons were for in Edge of Tomorrow and Source Code as to why it kept on looping. But
Because they didn't get it right.
Because I liked the way in Groundhog Day they just didn't explain it. It was just like, yes, it's happening.
It's just
Yeah.
to make Bill Murray even more miserable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which everyone loves watching Bill Murray be miserable.
Of course.
Yeah, but this guy couldn't play miserable. He just had the same facial expression for the entire
Play
film.
miserable or happy.
Yeah.
But my main down point with this is that they kept on trying to explain why this thing was looping. And I kept on thinking,
just leave it.
I don't care why it's looping.
The
It's
answer
just-
is science.
yeah.
All this
Yeah, that's a
science
good
is happening
point.
over
He kept
here.
to go to his MacBook Pro, like, yeah, guys, science.
Yeah.
And
The
it's gonna
worst-
happen.
Password is our anniversary or
Yeah.
the last day we spent together
Last
or
book-
whatever.
yeah, why?
And his password came up on the screen as he was typing it. I mean, surely that's the most basic principle.
But the thing is, one of the passwords was Sky or something. It has to be a minimum of 8 characters. How could it have been Sky?
Oh yeah, there's that weird bit, wasn't it, when like Sonny, the bad guy, who we found out is the main bad guy, whatever, he kills everyone,
Whatever.
and then he puts something in the
someone's
guy's
mouth.
mouth,
Yeah.
and from across the room she goes, "There's something in his mouth," and she leans across.
Yeah, that was a weird scene. And then
Yeah.
she fell in all the water, which she'd been trying to avoid.
Yeah,
I
and then
still
gets
don't understand
electrocuted.
why the password was in his mouth.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why it's in his mouth. I don't know why she saw it from across the room. I don't know why she wants to pick it out of his face.
There's so many questions that I really don't
Yeah.
bother to even think about. But
Did you think the ending itself, though, I have to say, I kind of dug, not to sound American, it's the only way I can describe it, I kind of dug that turns out they've done it all 100 times before already. And I know that's been used before,
Kind
but I
of
thought...
obvious, wasn't it? I don't know.
well,
Yeah,
I
'cause
actually
well, the
quite liked it.
ending after that robot thing comes in and tries to shoot them?
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Okay,
Which
right,
is
never mind.
completely
I've forgotten
pathetic
that. Yeah,
and
that was
hilarious.
pathetic. No, before that bit, when they realised they'd seen a video of themselves saying,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
I thought it was kind of sweet that they decided that they should try again, but thank God we didn't have to watch it for
know.
kind of the sake of humanity rather than saving themselves. Isn't that what it was?
But I think at this point, too much time had
don't
passed
know.
and the outside world was all dead anyway.
Yeah.
I liked that idea that this was a very contained bubble and the world had just gone on outside that line. So we don't really know how long they'd been in there, right? Could be,
It was implied it was like there was no humans left in the
could be
world, I
hundreds
think.
of years.
Yeah.
I thought that was the worst part of it.
Oh, really?
Because they went outside with this token gas mask.
Yeah, I know.
And they kept on swapping it between each other. And one of
And then they just stopped.
yeah, and then they kind of stopped using it. It's like, we
The
need
air's
this.
not deadly anymore.
Okay, you have it. And then it just kind of stopped and had a full-blown conversation. And then went
Yeah.
back inside again. And they kind of decided that
The line.
the line was where, because there's no rhyme or reason as to why that line was where the ARQ bubble ended. It's just-
Science.
Yeah.
It's just science.
Actually, it's reminding me of that other movie that we saw that was really good, as you're speaking about it. Cloverfield Lane.
Yeah, Cloverfield.
That's like a good version
Yeah,
of this,
true.
right?
That was
great.
Yeah.
The first one or the
second one.
Second one.
I haven't seen the second one.
It's very good.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's actually
cool. So I
really
really
cool.
like the
Good.
first
Yeah.
one.
Oh, I never saw the first one, but I don't think you have to consider them as like. I think you
They're
can consider
separate
them
things.
totally
Okay.
separately. But yeah, that's actually what they were trying to do and didn't do. I've just realised.
So this movie is good at reminding us of
Of
movies.
the films
But
that
the-
we'd much
but
rather
the
be
films you
watching.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did they leave that house and then come back?
I don't remember. I,
can't
think it was
remember either.
because
But they'd found some shoes
Yeah,
by
I
that
don't know.
point.
Did they?
Yeah, at one
Oh.
point they'd got shoes. I was like, where did they get them from? I don't remember this bit, but they had shoes.
I didn't notice anything about the shoes.
I
remember
noticed
them
it.
being barefoot.
Well, she got electrocuted because she put her toe in the electrocuted blood. So
These shoes would have solved that.
Jews would have solved that. Yeah.
So it's a dystopian future where
Yeah.
shoes are no longer worn.
And did you find that there was one of my notes here is that there was too many murders? Like I got sick of everyone just being murdered. Like watching the same
Considering
people
she was so
repeatedly die.
against killing someone.
Yeah. It's just like, oh,
she
there's
did a
more
lot of
killing
murders.
of the same 3 people.
Yeah, so going outside just put me off.
That's really bothering you.
Yeah. Back to them going outside.
Just why? Why did you go outside? Why did you check out this black line, and why did you go back inside? And then B, why did it matter that the ARQ was speeding up? And why was he fixated with it? Because he kept saying, is the ARQ speeding up? Yes. Okay then.
Just plug it out.
And then,
Yeah, just turn it
There
off.
was that joke in it where they kind of like the switch to turn it off was on the wall, which do you not get that?
no,
They do a joke where he's on about how do we shut it down? It's like it's a manual shutdown.
Just switch it off.
Which is like a switch, which is kind of a joke, but in the context of how the film is, it could have easily been turned off with a switch. But
I didn't
no,
notice that either.
no one else. There's
Nobody-
so many.
So much we didn't notice in this film.
But it's the kind of movie that forces you to tune out a little because there's so many dull bits.
It was very dull, frequently.
yeah. I just think it wasn't dull. It was just, where was it going with? Where was it? Yeah.
It was dull.
I think I got up to take my makeup off at one point and just went
Did you?
into the bathroom. I was like, whatever. Yeah.
It didn't do it wasn't very clear. It didn't
No.
do a good job of clearly explaining its plot or some of its ideas. It's a little bit sloppy in places.
One thing I did think of, have you ever seen the science fiction film Cube?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love
So
Cube.
that's an
Yeah.
example of a film that was obviously very low budget and had no backing behind it, didn't have Netflix backing, but an example of a brilliant science fiction film.
Also better than this one.
Yeah, that is better than that.
Let's name films that are better than this one.
Yeah.
Anything.
I don't know.
But so there is that. I think I don't want to sound like I'm just being mean for being the sake of it, because obviously, like we've said, we do appreciate anyone who is trying to do anything on a low budget and has a concept and an idea. But I don't think it accomplished it anyway. And to say, for an example, Cube was an example of a science fiction film with a low budget that did manage to achieve its potential and is quite a surprising film. And I'd like to see that on Netflix.
Yes.
Please.
What happens in
Netflix.
Cube then? I've never heard of it.
Well, they're kind of in a puzzle. I mean, I saw this years and years ago,
Same,
but
like in
they're
uni.
yeah, they're in this kind of cube puzzle, and it's got quite a lot of very gory bits. And I can't remember much about it now.
It's
Except
all set
it's
in. They just wake up in this
different
cube room.
rooms, and
then
they
they're
kind
all
of move through.
connected.
But it's a good like psychological drama, which this could have been, but
But it has also Cube kind of has something to say at the end of the day.
It's just had
it's a bit of
Wait,
a
no
social
spoiling
commentary, like without spoiling it. No, but it's got like the best sci-fi. It has some social commentary to it,
Okay.
which I don't really think ARQ had a lot to say.
I don't think so.
The future is screwed. No energy or shoes.
Yeah. And apples.
So how did Source Code and how did Edge of Tomorrow do a better job of the story?
Where to start? It's just
They were entertaining.
Yeah, they're entertaining.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consistently entertaining.
charisma from their leads, a sense of momentum, a little bit more, especially with Edge of Tomorrow. It's a very knowing film, and Tom Cruise has never been that funny. He's absolutely brilliant in it, and the actual special effects are amazing in both. I was reading somewhere that they thought the Michelle Monaghan character in Source Code was completely underused and not really sort of important to the story. But I don't know, I just kind of remember watching that and just really, really, really feeling for Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
Yeah.
And you just want him to get it right. And, you just really, really want it. And I don't know, it's just, even though you're watching the same thing over and over again, obviously there's slight differences, it never gets boring. And you're never like, oh my God, can we just get to the bit where they actually make the change? Each time you're watching it, you're kind of enjoying the changes and what they're doing differently. Whereas definitely with this, you're like, oh my God, we're going through the same bit. Oh, they've been shot again. That means we've got to watch the same bit again.
No.
I don't know. I just think the ideas are more coherent. I mean, we all can remember the plot. We can remember what happened. At least I felt like with both films, like a connection to the characters, and that I wanted them to succeed.
I agree with that. I think there's nobody relatable in this movie. There's nobody I really cared for. I didn't believe in their relationship. They were just sort of very faceless characters.
And also, it wasn't a relationship, really, was it?
No.
It was kind
No.
of, but she was actually going out. She was going out with one of the invaders, and at one point he goes to her, "Did you sleep with him?" No, I just came over and slept and we talked all night.
In the same bed.
Yeah, in the same bed. But that's a bit of a random point they made there. But
Yeah, it was weird. And also there was no one that, like, at any point, if they had all just died, we'd have gone, oh, well. Like
They all did die.
but there
Several
was no,
times.
like, Edge of Tomorrow, like, Tom Cruise, you were just gunning for him to get out of there. And, like, every day he achieves a little bit more.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, it seemed like every day they almost achieved a little bit less. Like, it was going nowhere. And then in the end, when they had the chance to leave, as you said, they didn't. It's like, oh, well, okay, then what is the point? And then it's kind of slightly cheating the audience to say, well, we're just going to do it all again anyway. Sorry.
I think crucially as well with Source Code and Edge of Tomorrow, they were fun. There's
this
not
had
a lot
no
of fun
fun.
in this. It's a very po-faced
Yeah.
movie, and it's very self-serious.
Were there any laughs in this? I don't remember.
Unintentional, many.
Unintentional, yes. No jokes though, were there? Like nothing, no funny lines.
The bit that you all missed, the switching it off at the wall, I think that
Okay,
was a
right.
joke.
Yeah, we all missed that.
that was a joke, was it?
I think so.
We missed the joke.
But I
Given
missed-
we've all watched this in the last 2 weeks, this is like poor showing of memory, which doesn't say much about the
it doesn't,
movie.
unfortunately, does it?
No.
And, on that, shall we?
Should we
Go
want to
to
get to the
some
scores
scoring.
and lay it down?
Your patented
Yeah.
scoring system.
I love this score.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
great.
Cool. So we got the recommendability. Kathy,
Say it so much
out
more.
of 5, how much would you recommend this to someone?
Out of 5, I've given it a 3, which is quite fair because I think, as I said, it's interesting to watch new sci-fi movies at low budget and it's a short watch. So I would recommend somebody watch it just to see it and see what they think of it. But I'd be recommending it more as if you've nothing better to do, watch this, then, you have to watch this. If you know what I mean? Because I think it is interesting. And I know a lot of people like Orphan Black. It's almost like, if you think Orphan Black is good, well, this is much worse. The same guy. And he should have had a better budget, really, given he's done Orphan Black and that's so successful. There's no excuse for it.
Was it that? I mean, how much money do you
Maybe
think
it had a lot of money and we're all just assuming it's low budget because it's shit.
how much money do you think was invested in the actual ARQ machine thing itself? I was
Not
like,
much.
that was a really big roll of tinfoil, isn't it? Just spinning round.
Yeah.
I feel like
No,
there was
we
a
Got like some
MacGyver element to
hamsters
that.
running around.
Yeah.
Spin round.
I mean, it was really cheap. Maybe they spent all the money on that Aussie woman's salary.
Yeah.
She's kind of the only celebrity. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I actually would recommend it to somebody. Despite my review, I'd recommend it a 3.
I give it a 3 as well. I think I'd recommend it with a caution. I mean, it's very much if like give it a watch if you've nothing better to do. There's some interesting ideas in there, but I would say I would only recommend it to someone who's like really into sci-fi and is looking for just is hungry for more stuff in that genre. So yeah.
You're hungry for something in the genre.
Hungry
you should
for
maybe
more
consider
sci-fi.
watching it.
Helen, I can't wait.
Okay, I was
Do
going
you
to give it a 0, but I'm not. I can't be that mean. Again, I'm going to give it 1.
There's no
I-
one you would recommend this to whatsoever.
No, I'd say if you've seen Source Code, watch Ever Tomorrow, and if you haven't seen any other science fiction film, then I would recommend a million more.
Yeah, don't start with this.
I don't even think it's if you've got nothing better to do, because there are better films to watch than this that you could be watching, even if it's...
Because
an hour
one
and a
common
half.
complaint people have about Netflix UK is that there's not enough variety. But I think you could always find stuff to watch. There's shitloads of stuff that if you watch everything on there back to back, you'd be there for a long time.
If you've watched everything on Netflix and you still think, oh my God, I really can't think of anything better to do, then watch
This
this.
can't be the worst thing. We still haven't seen Ridiculous 6 yet.
Oh,
Adam
God.
Sandler's.
Are you guys
Oh,
gonna
God.
watch it?
Oh,
No.
I'm going to one day.
I saw the
Well,
trailer.
someone might suggest it for this.
I feel that my enemies out there maybe are going to be
We should have done that
compiling a
one,
list
actually.
of...
Oh yeah, we have to watch a film that people recommend. We don't. We don't
we
specify.
have no vetting whatsoever.
No.
I feel as though...
So if some evil person does recommend Ridiculous 6, that's one film I think I got about 20 minutes into it.
Oh,
And I
well
think
done.
That's quite
I think
hard
I
for
was,
you.
I think I was lenient.
Yeah.
You were being kind.
I remember to our WhatsApp group, to our film quiz WhatsApp group, as like, guys, I'm going to watch Ridiculous 6. And then 5 minutes into it, it's like, guys, this is terrible. And I don't know, I always, because making a film takes a lot of effort, doesn't it?
I know.
And
I
it's
always
just one
give
of those
someone a bit
things-
of credit.
Yeah, but it was just poor and it's just kind of crude and it just wasn't funny. And Adam Sandler can be funny. And it's when you kind of know that there is potential there, just doesn't just consistently does not want to perform that.
That's what's so disappointing
Yeah.
about him. It's like, we know you can do this.
Yeah.
Try harder, Adam.
Yeah,
So
I remain unbudged on that one.
ARQ, I'm going to give 3 because I think there'll be people that will enjoy it.
Yeah. And like you said, 2 of your friends really liked it and recommended
Yeah.
it, right?
I think they're trolling me.
Trolling us. It wasn't a taut thriller, but it wasn't like
It was neither taut nor thrilling.
No.
Yeah.
repeat viewing
Yeah.
score.
Oh, repeat viewing. 0. Sorry, I would never watch it again.
I didn't realize 0 was the lowest, so I gave it a 1.
Ooh, generous.
I'm going to change it to 0 because I
Oh,
I
shit.
won't watch this again either.
Oh. And Dave's the most likely candidate to watch it again.
And I thought
think.
it was okay, but I've no intention of watching it again. It's like it in and done.
It's a 0. If anyone inflicted it on me,
Can you do negatives? -1.
We can't do next.
no, we're not doing that.
I don't know how to do the spreadsheet, so it does that. I'm going to give it 1. Again, I'm a lenient guy.
So nice.
I feel like I have to give it something. One day I might watch it, and if my wife's watching it, and I come in the last kind of 30 minutes just to maybe try and
Work out what was going
work
on.
out what's going on, then
She's probably watching it based on your 3 recommendation score. You've told her to watch it.
small screen score.
Small screen store, I actually gave it a 5 because it's perfectly acceptable to view on a small screen. So I'm like looking at this purely technically.
If not
Yeah.
better.
It's probably better, yeah, on a really small smartphone.
Would you be wholeheartedly gutted if you'd seen it on IMAX?
Well, we watched it on our projector actually,
Yeah,
so
so-
and it added it may as well have been on my smartphone. The projector added nothing to it. In fact, it was kind of showed how grimy and cheap it was.
Because what was the point? Because there was those things like where the clock when he woke up was like hovering in space, and also
Projector clock.
they had those kind of holograms on their bodies.
Yeah, the future.
Science,
Yeah,
Guys,
that's it.
guys, this is the future. Look, you've got holograms
Yeah.
on your bodies.
but not shoes.
yeah, but no shoes.
Yeah, you can
No
tell the
shoes,
clock
no
from looking at
apples,
your
but
arm.
hologram clocks.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, we got those.
Yeah, no, don't watch it on a projector.
That felt like it was a nod to Groundhog Day, didn't it?
The clock.
Or the
thing.
clock thing.
Yeah. I mean, if they'd put Sonny and Cher in there as well, it would be.
I don't think it was a nod.
It was Sunny.
Oh,
So maybe
interesting.
they're
true,
some
actually.
vague.
Yeah, the bad guy's
Maybe
called
there's
Sunny.
like some really
That's
clever
interesting.
connections
The
that
girl was called Cher. No, she wasn't. She wasn't. I
I was
can't
like,
remember.
Google.
like, I don't even remember
What was her
her
name?
I don't remember her name.
Apart from, I just remember his called Renton because it was Train Spotting.
So yeah, okay. So anyway, I gave it 5 for small
5.
screen.
Dave.
I gave it a 5 as well.
So this is where your measurement gets interesting because we're
It
giving
does
this
do.
film a 5.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, it doesn't really matter what screen you see it on. Really, I think it's not like. Although if you said if I'd gone to the IMAX, I'd be seriously pissed. I'd have spent £25.
It's probably like the budget.
I know, yeah.
I was going to give it a 1, but I'm going to up it to a 2.
Nice.
I mean, yeah. It doesn't really.
You're really unhappy, but this is one of the most unhappy I've seen Helen for a long time.
Since the last one.
I'm so sorry, Helen.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
sorry
the
I
pain
put
look
you
on your
through
face.
this.
Not as much as my boyfriend enjoyed having to also sit through it.
Oh no, I've ruined 2 people's
I've
90
not been
minutes.
forgiven.
Did he not? Was he not happy at all?
No, I think he ended up reading a book or something.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at him.
Completely.
This is engagement score. This is going to be low on the engagement score, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think 3
given
for
it a
small
2.
screen for me. It's not. Yeah. 3. I can't justify anymore.
Yeah, I think we're looking at it too technically because we work in TV. That's what's happening. We're thinking of tech. We're not thinking of.
And also, you did technically kind of watch it on a big screen and probably wish that you
Yeah,
hadn't.
maybe it's the
Well, you
regret.
cheated.
And then engagement, I've given it a 2 because I did stick with it, even though I really didn't want to. But I don't know if I stuck with it just because we were doing this podcast.
So if you weren't doing this podcast, you think you would have left it?
I think I might have been like, oh, look, it's 90 minutes. I'll stick with it. But actually, I'm changing my 2 to a 1. Sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't have stuck with it.
I'm going to also give it a 2. I kind of think I could have turned it off at several points. It did, as I described earlier, it was sort of this waveform of like dips and troughs where I was like, sometimes it was really boring and dull, and then it would pick up again, and then I was bored again. So I was very inconsistently engaged.
Might be one of those ones where I've done occasionally in the past is I'll turn it off and Google the ending. Might have been
really?
one of those ones, yeah. If the movie's really bad, yeah.
What
a movie
you got
like
an
this
example?
with a high concept and not much else. I was like, look, I want to know what happens, but I don't care to see it.
Have you got an example of when you've done that? Or an example where you wish you'd done
generally something like this,
Okay.
something that has kind of a good idea but isn't being.
that? Have you seen
Generally sci-fi.
Have you seen In Time
Oh, that was bad. We did
In
see
time,
that.
which is that?
with Justin Timberlake? And
Oh yeah, that would be
Yeah.
an example. But we saw that in the cinema. So
Yeah,
I
Great
saw it.
idea.
so he said,
Yeah, great idea.
It was a great idea, and after half an hour, they had no more ideas.
Yeah.
It often happens with. It's a genre that it happens with a lot because people have these fantastic premises and then they can't go anywhere with them.
And they tried to make it really long as well. I'm sure it's like 2 hours. It might have just been 80 minutes, but they,
It felt like 2
Felt
hours.
like it.
Yeah,
Kathy's very keen to walk out of movies halfway. She did it in Independence
yeah. I
Day.
Yes,
left
you did.
Independence
So
Day.
Yeah.
I have to stick with films pretty much.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm really impressed that you have that. I wish I'd have left The Hateful Eight. Really wish that I'd not stayed there.
Oh yeah,
all
Hateful
that.
Eight's long, and we watch it in 2 parts at home, so that was fine. But in the cinema, I don't think I could have done it. But yeah, Independence Day, I just left. I was like, this is so bad, and I don't
Oh,
care
no.
what's going to happen. And I can at this point 20 different plots that I can't follow. So I left, and Dave stayed, and he
Yeah, that's what I was
wished
gonna
he'd
say.
left.
I regretted it.
because I've not listened to the episode yet, but I've listened to this episode subsequent to that where you've talked about what's happened during during Independence
She left
Day.
me alone.
Oh yeah, and I went to
alone
bed.
with
I had a
Jeff
great
Goldblum.
evening. Yeah, but yeah, I would have. This would be that kind of movie.
Just leave halfway. I wish I'd left The Tree of Life.
Oh, I haven't seen
Oh,
that
I quite
one.
like that.
Oh,
I bet it's
all right,
weird
yeah.
though.
I was there, went to see Tree of Life with 4 people in the cinema, and all of us fell asleep at one point during the film, and we should.
Such a bad sign.
And you know when people talk to you after a screening when you've no idea who they were, but this guy just kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Why do we all stay and watch that?" I didn't know who he was, and I'd never seen him again, but I just thought, yeah. And also, it was in a Leicester Square screening, so it was the best part of 20 quid, if not more, we paid for that screening.
So you paid to sleep.
I just felt gutted. It's absolutely gutted.
Aw.
It's just like a Terrence Malick film, though, isn't it? Really?
God.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for the same. I've heard a lot of people say
Yeah,
it.
I like watched it.
wasn't
on
worth it.
I thought it
TV.
was quite beautiful. I really
Well,
enjoyed
it
it.
might be beautiful, but it was just small engagement score, Helen. For
let me
to go
guess.
back to the score.
For its 1 minute and 25 seconds of engagement, I'm giving it a 0.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yeah, 0 engagement.
I don't know what happened in that 1 minute and 25 seconds. Though. Was it that bad? I can't.
I think he died like within a minute, didn't he? Is that what happened?
Yeah,
He
probably.
got dragged out, and then it was
You
all
know
very
when you can
fast
tell
at the
so
beginning.
early how bad the acting is? That there was some moment at the start that we noticed as well, and I can't remember now. And I just thought, oh god, he's so bad, and it's like a soap, like The Bold and the Beautiful or something. Like it's that kind of acting level.
Had we not been doing this podcast, I did think, could I get away with not actually watching it?
Yeah, googling it.
And just like blagging it and going, yeah, I remember that bit. And
Well, it turns out none of us remember it anyway, so
No,
you actually
yeah.
could have
Yeah,
liked
you
it.
could have got away
You
with
could
it.
have googled it.
Good lord. Okay, I'm going to give it. Well, it's clearly low. I don't remember half the story. It seems. I don't remember the
That
Christmas
engaged.
bit, so I could not have been engaged, even though I
No.
thought.
And
I
you were the
was.
most keen.
Yeah, I was the most keen on it. Oh, this is.
Your mind was going la da 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 da. da.
la 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 la. So yeah, 1.9 out of 5.
So that's pretty low.
That's got to be low.
1.9 total, despite us having given it 2 5s for
for
screen
small
experience.
score. So you guys, you
yeah, I didn't even get into figures. 0.75.
So we're saying don't watch it, but if you are going to watch it on your phone.
yeah.
I think if you are a real, if all you watch is sci-fi films, then you are going to get something out of this. If you like quality films, then,
Funny films or interesting films.
yeah, then you're probably going to feel a bit cheated. But
I think there are people that will. I know, and we know people.
we
who
know
have
people.
enjoyed- who
We
have
know
enjoyed it.
people.
And I don't think it's that bad. I just
No.
don't think it's my favourite. And I can't really see. I know the people I would recommend it to. Because I know that's the thing, though, isn't it? You know, people who think, they've got that kind of film taste that they'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
So it does feel kind of a niche. But it's just not as good as Groundhog Day or Source Code or Edge of Tomorrow.
It's a shame that that the only things we can compare it to are really good movies as
Yeah.
well. If it was a more original concept, we might be more forgiving. But we're comparing it to some, like Groundhog Day is probably one of the best comedies ever made. So
There's no chance.
Yeah, it has no chance. It's that they've set themselves up. I also think what do we think that, is it interesting for the Netflix brand to have this as a Netflix original, quote, when you've got that next to something like House of Cards, which is such a critically renowned show. It's like, do you really want to have the same branding on both of these pieces?
Well, I'm going to go back to Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot he was an
For
original.
Adam Sandler.
You're right. There's no quality threshold.
That's got to be the worst film I've started watching, and I don't know.
But then Netflix are smart, right? They
know
there must be
the
something.
audience.
Yeah, they must have looked at their algorithm and said, people are loving these Adam Sandler movies. Let's make 1 billion of them with him.
And they'll be quite cheap to make.
Yeah.
And I think he does pretty much it. He writes it, and so he is like
He's a package.
one-man film industry kind of thing.
People watch ARQ.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
it will be at the top of their welcome screens, and they'll also want to know why we thought it was this bad. And there will be people who will probably watch it again to try and work out whether, it did make sense. So
God, those poor people.
I know, but I think people will watch it and won't hate it as much as me.
No,
I
and
think
maybe
that's
like
the
film
case.
school people are learning how to make movies. It's a good one to watch in terms of, you've got 2 sets, you've got a small budget. This is how you fuck it up. Because this could have been good if the script was smart enough.
Yeah.
The
Now go and
actors
watch
weren't
Blair
so
Witch.
terrible. Yeah.
Cool. Any other comments, guys?
I think we've said all that there is to say on the subject of ARQ. Not spelt any way that you would expect the word ARQ to be
No.
spelled
Not like
if you're
Joan of
Googling
Arc
it.
Because it's got to be edgy.
No.
Or
Raiders
Noah's
of the Lost
Ark.
Ark.
No.
Do we want to
nothing
see
like that.
sequels? Do we want to see a whole cinematic universe set in the
I want to see it again. I
dystopian
want to see the
shoeless
next
future?
loop.
I want to see what happens if they stepped over that black line.
Maybe that's in the outtakes.
What's out there?
Nothing. They would have had a
Apples.
perfectly happy life. Yeah. Because
So
they
many
didn't need the
apples.
gas masks.
No,
Yeah.
I thought that was just why.
Maybe someone should re-edit it as a comedy or something.
Also, that does that mean that house is airtight?
Apparently.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
didn't
despite
look
the
it. 'cause
baddies breaking in.
They were like tarps over the windows.
Yeah. Surely the bad air got into the house somehow. There's so many things.
Really not worth thinking about it.
Okay.
And the supposed love interest, and I say that with huge air quotes, they had no chemistry.
No.
Like, I've rarely seen 2 people on screen have less chemistry. Anyway, as a side note.
It's not romantic either.
No.
Okay.
I think we're going to have to leave it there. I don't think I can talk any more about it.
No. I'm just so glad we picked it because you hated it so much.
I'm so
That's
sorry.
quite fun.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll get over it
lot
until
to
the
talk
next
about.
time.
Well, can you just sign out with how we guys can hear about the Cinemile again?
Oh yeah, you can follow us at the Cinemile on Twitter, and our website is thecinemile.com.
Sweet.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
having
guys. Thanks
us.
for having us.
Bye.
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 Thank you to our awesome guests, Kathy and Dave. You can find them on the Cinemile podcast. As always, thank you for the sweet editing skills from GL Productions and the awesome tunes from the Mighty People. Don't forget that you can subscribe to us on iTunes to have the next episode straight to your ears. Come tweet us and find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod. And as always, full listings on the website flixwatcher.tv. See you again soon.